Welcome to the Mindset Architect podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with Rethink Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, episode number 96. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at Rethink Coaching. And as always, I wanted to just take a minute and thank you for your time and sharing it with me. Time truly is our greatest asset, and the fact that you're willing to share and invest your time with me truly does mean a great deal. So today, we're going to talk about this thing called drift. And I'm bringing it up right now because most of us are mid-year. We're working through the year toward our goal. And I'm noticing a little bit of what I would call drift. It's when your focus starts to fade. That's simply what it is. We're going to talk about how to recover from that drift. So here's what I know. None of us started our businesses or our leadership role, our executive role, our position in the organization that we're with to feel overwhelmed, to feel unfocused or out of sync with your goals. I know none of us set off with that intention. Yet somewhere along the way, our calendars got crowded. We lost sight of our vision and our energy, it's just scattered right now. That is the quiet danger of drift. And that's what I want to talk about today. It doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in slowly, and it is usually one small compromise, one skipped priority, one shiny distraction at a time leads you to drift. I want to talk about this because it's really important when entrepreneurs or leaders lose their momentum. Sometimes people think it's because you got lazy, and I know that is not the truth. It is not about being lazy. It's about mindset, strategy, or your identity may just be out of alignment. So if you've been feeling off track lately, not what I would say is burnt out, but not quite on fire, this episode is your reset. We're going to look at 7 different ways that drift can show up and what you can do differently to avoid the drift. So number one thing that I want to talk about today is the subtle sabotage when comfort replaces clarity. And I want you to think about this for a minute. We don't always drift because we got tired or we got lazy. We drift because unconsciously we're seeking comfort. We're looking for things that feel familiar and feel good. Because when things feel uncertain or hard, we like to default to safe tasks. So I've talked about this before, but I want you to think about this. Our brain, as evolved as we are as human beings, still has a very primitive part to it. And it does this job for you on an unconscious level that it wants to protect you. And part of protecting you, the brain sees difficult, unknown, or uncertain things as danger. Very much like you could get hurt, you could get killed kind of danger. That's how the brain sees it. So it will pull you back into doing things that it is comfortable with, that it's familiar with, and that it feels safe with. So it's this subtle sabotage. It's when comfort replaces challenging moments or challenging tasks. It can be looked at as productive procrastination. It can be looked at, it's a place to go just to feel like you can accomplish something with ease and it's not putting additional pressure on you. When this happens, it can truly impact your mindset because it can trick you into thinking you're doing the right thing. It can trick you into thinking, hey, this is not such a bad thing. This worked in the past. Why are we doing something different? Let's just go back to the way that we've always done things. Will it work? Yes, it will. Will it get you to your new goal? Most likely not. So we have to be really aware of it. So here's a couple things that I'm going to ask you to do. Identify your comfort rituals. So what happens when you want to get comfortable? What happens when you want to get out of that pressure of doing something different, something new, something at a higher level? When does that happen? It might happen or it might show up for you in a way of you doing unnecessary administrative work. You doing this thing that we call over planning, where we get ready to get ready to get ready to get ready, and we never get ready to do anything. Over planning, sliding into an administrative role, those could be some signs that you're moving into that subtle sabotage, and we must address it immediately. So when that happens, what I would ask you to do, replace one of those tasks with a clarity task. So what do I mean by that? So there are times when I will find myself doing some administrative work, and I talked about this in our last episode, where it just feels good. I can get stuff done. I can check a box, mark that I've done a task. It's not dependent upon anybody telling me yes or no in a sales capacity. It just allows me to complete something. I know that when I move into that arena and I get into my administrator's lane, that I am experiencing a little bit of sabotage and that I need to get out of it as quickly as I can. Now, I might give myself permission to do one of those things just to feel good, but I want to get out of it pretty quickly. And I immediately ask myself, what should I be doing instead of this task? Just one thing. What is just one thing that I could do differently that would pull me out of this comfort task and into the task that will move my business forward? So just, I look to replace it. I have an honest conversation with myself, and I move it out and I move back to where I need to be with intention. So that might look like knocking off the admin and making a few more phone calls, not doing the work that somebody else in my organization does. So I kind of join them and co-share their job for a moment, staying out of that and moving into client follow-up, strategizing, different things that are actually intentional and will move my business forward. The number two thing that can happen is when we're experiencing drift is we get what I call achievement amnesia. It's when a past or a current win kills your future hunger. And I want you to think about this. We drift sometimes after a significant win or even a little win. And it's just because we stopped doing what we were doing that got us the results. So I know this seems really counterintuitive, yet here's the truth. From a neurolinguistic programming perspective, when we get to about 85% of our goal, we must move the goal. The brain does this amazing job of seducing you into leaning back and coasting a little bit, saying, you know what, I got this. Close to goal. There's no way I'm not going to hit goal. And we start to lose sight of what we really should be doing. And we start to drift because we see the win. Or if we have a win, we want to stay in that celebration mode a little bit longer and enjoy the energy that is brought to us by the win. And we stop doing the tasks that allowed us to win. It's just how human nature works. So what I would tell you to do instead is have a moment of celebration when you do win. And I'm not talking about going out for this huge expensive dinner or whatever. You may just take a moment and acknowledge your hard work, acknowledge what you did, acknowledge what happened on the team, do a celebration of sorts, and then make sure you're staying on track and keeping doing those activities. And one of the best things that you can do is while you're in that win state is to just reflect on what specifically you did that allowed you to get to the win. What actions and mindset did I have that contributed to this win? It's really important that we identify that, because sometimes we just look at what we're doing as it's just a task. It's what I need to do. And we don't really reflect on the power of what we're doing or the power of where our mindset is. So it's really important when we're celebrating that win that we reflect on this. It's also important that we do have a post-win ritual, and that's a short period of celebration. And maybe it is something that you have set that you will do when you get to that goal. I remember when I first started off in real estate, my post-win ritual, so whenever I had a closing and the buyer either closed on their new home or the seller sold their home, I would reward myself with a spa day. I would go and get a massage because that was such a luxury at that time of my career and my life. Well, as my career started growing and I had multiple closings per month, that ritual was no longer working. So I had to pick something else to do. And so it was really important that I knew what my ritual was going to be. So in the beginning, I knew I was going to reward myself with an amazing massage, and I would really strive to win. And then I replaced that with something that was different, but equally as important. So what is your post-win ritual? Do you have one? And if you don't, get one. And it's not taking a week off. It's not taking a month off and going to Europe. It's quick, it's measurable, and it is something that should excite you or motivate you to pull you towards the win and to celebrate the win once you have it. So that's number 2. Number 3, there's this energy of invisible exhaustion that we'll experience where you're not unmotivated, you're just really overstimulated. How many times have you heard yourself say, I know I say this sometimes to myself, gosh, I have so much to do. I don't even know where to start. I have so much to do, yet I'm not feeling it right now. That's what happens when we get overloaded, right? From overstimulation, whether it's constraint points, whether it's decision fatigue, whether it's all the digital stuff that we experience throughout the day, there's this invisible exhaustion that hangs over us as entrepreneurs and leaders that if we're not careful, can be viewed as being not motivated, and it's really just overstimulated. So it's really important to take control of that. For me, what I would do is I immediately just get everything out of my head that I need to do. So when I'm feeling overstimulated or that there's so much on my plate, I don't know where to start and I don't feel like even starting it, I just break everything down, dump it out of my head, and I prioritize that list of what needs to be done. I look at what could I delegate out of that list, what could I delete from that list that I really don't need to do, and what could I delay? Maybe do it a different day and schedule it accordingly. But the goal is to get yourself out of being overstimulated or overwhelmed, because nothing good happens when you're in that state. I've shared this before. I think it's really important when you're in a constant state of being overstimulated that you either take a day or a portion of the day where you don't have to deal with any content, any meetings, and no decisions. Just a day of rest and reflection. We don't do that a lot as entrepreneurs. We don't do that a lot as leaders because we're drivers and we want to keep moving the business. But if we allow ourselves to get overwhelmed and overstimulated, it will stifle everything. So it's okay to build in a day of rest. It's okay to build in a morning of no decisions, no social media, no emails, no texting, no phone calls, no decisions needing to be made, and take a moment and just let your brain rest. It's incredibly important. It gets you out of that being overstimulated. Another thing that you can do is incorporate some breath work into your daily routine. I know a lot of people that do this, they'll take a moment and just do some breath work, which can help you blow off, the carbon. It can help you refocus because now you're focused on your breath. There's a lot of different things that you can do. It could be breath work. It could be meditation. It could be prayer. It could be journal, whatever that looks like. When you're feeling overstimulated, quickly work your way out of it. And sometimes you just simply have to pull the plug and take an hour or two or a day and disconnect, and that's okay. The number 4 thing that can happen when we're experiencing drift is our vision gets vague. Action gets random. All right, I want you to think about that. We have a vision of what we want our business to be. We start off writing a business plan. We've got goals and a vision and a mission, and we know the direction we're going. But when you look at all the other stuff that we talked about, overstimulation, crowded calendars, all of the different things that can happen, we tend to lose sight of our long-term vision, and we move into this space of, I just have to get something done today. When you lose sight of that long-term vision, if you're not visiting it often enough, your short-term actions become reactive and scattered. It's just doing something for the sake of doing something, and it may not be in a strategic pattern or a logical flow. We're just randomly doing things to make ourselves feel better that we're still in action, yet it's random, and it is not serving you for the bigger picture. So I've talked about this in a previous podcast. We don't spend a lot of time living in our future space. And this is one thing that I would encourage you to do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, all of the time. And that is spending time in your future. Because what I love is that when I spend time in my future and I speak of it as it's already done, my brain does not know that that is not the truth. It's just processing the information that I'm giving it, and it is reacting to it as if it is gospel, that if it is the truth, and it is done. So make sure you're spending time in your future. I do this every day in my journaling and my meditation. I don't say when this happens. I put myself in the future as if it's already happened. So when I'm journaling about my goals, I journal as if it is December 31st of whatever year it is. And this is what I accomplished. And gosh, I feel really good. I dig into the emotions. I spend time as if that is already done and I'm living in that future experience. So do not lose sight of your future vision, because when you do, we go for this grab. We just start grabbing actions, and it is most likely not going to be the strategy that we need to move forward. So spend time in your future vision. Number 5, mistaking pivoting for progress. So I often refer to this as shiny object syndrome. We all have it. We hear of a great technique or a great tool, or we hear about somebody did something that got them to goal that we've never done before. And all of a sudden we want to start doing that. We want to start incorporating that into our business. And we get distracted by this shiny object. It is usually something that is not in our plan, but we feel like if we did it, we would achieve success. Here's what I know about shiny objects. Typically, we're brought into it because somebody or something has sold you on the result. But what they haven't shared with you is the journey to get to the result. And that's where making a pivot or moving towards a shiny object can be really devastating to the progress of yourself moving towards your goal. It can be really devastating to your business. I know this happens sometimes in the real estate lane. I'll be talking to a client and they'll say, gosh, this agent in my office started doing X, or this agent in my office saying they picked up 3 clients because they do this. Okay. And it's something that the client that I'm currently coaching is not doing. And I let them talk it out and we explore it. Yet I have to remind them, go talk to them and ask them how long they've been doing it. We don't talk about our failures. We don't a lot of times talk about the unpleasantry of the journey. We like to celebrate publicly our wins. And so it might be presented to us that this was a quick and easy win. It typically isn't. And so we go down that path and we start taking this new action, which can take a while to see, if ever, a result. I know pivoting is important, yet I always say first check in with yourself before you pivot to a different strategy or different activity, and be honest with yourself on how you've been showing up on the strategies you do have in place. Am I showing up playing at a level 8, 9, or 10? And if you're not, it's not the strategy, it's you. So pivots are important, yet do not mistake taking a pivot because you haven't done what you were supposed to do to get to the result. That's when a pivot's detrimental. Let's be honest, any new action or strategy that we put into place has at least a 90-day ramp up. So we are risking an entire quarter of the year when we do a pivot, especially if we do a pivot prematurely or unnecessarily. So check it out before you decide to do a pivot. Number 6 is feedback starvation. We drift because we don't have external mirrors. All right, I'm going to say this, get a coach, hire a coach. That's what we do. We give you feedback. We shine a light on your blind spots. You can't course correct what you're not willing to or what you don't see. Drift accelerates when you're not taking in feedback. I know none of us love taking in feedback of how we failed or didn't get to the goal or didn't show up like an 8, 9, or a 10. But there is so much value in the feedback. Yet we skip right over it and we just going to go to the next week. I'm just going to do better. And we do not look at the feedback of what caused us to not take action or what caused us to not get the result, even though we took the action. So feedback starvation is a way that we can experience drift because we just want to go to the next best thing or make this commitment to ourselves that tomorrow will be better. And it can be. And in order for it to be sustainable, we really have to dig into the feedback. Number 7 thing, and I think this is probably the most important of everything that we're going to talk about today, because I love the impact of mindset. on your future and all of your results that you're going to get. It could be just simply that your identity has not caught up with your goals. If you see yourself as an old identity and your new goals and your new wins and your new results are creating a different identity for you, sometimes that old identity, remember, it wants to keep you comfortable, will pull you back and actually cause drift or pull you out of doing the activity that we need to do simply because you haven't embraced your new identity. It's funny, like I will see clients that I coach have been doing whatever their position is, whether they're a C-suite or whether they're an executive or a leader or a manager or a realtor or an entrepreneur, whatever it is. They'll have been doing it for maybe a year and they'll still use the word new. Well, I'm new. I'm new. No, you're not new. That's a way of coping with the new identity that you're not ready to accept yet. So one of the things that I would say kind of goes back to that future vision part is get really comfortable with what your new identity is going to be. For me, when I launched Rethink Coaching, I knew I was going to be successful. That's just where my brain goes, right? However, I hadn't replaced my old identity as a coach, as a leadership coach, to being a business owner, entrepreneur of a successful coaching company. I didn't accept that new identity. And as I started to have wins, I was not embarrassed, but I was almost like afraid to embrace that because it was out of alignment with my old vision of myself. So really take some time to follow and identify what your new identity will be as you achieve the goals that you've set for yourself. So if you see yourself as a successful entrepreneur in the top 10 in your industry, that's your new identity. Start living into that identity now, and you'll achieve the goals at a quicker and higher level. If you ignore your new identity and bring your old definition of you into the party, it will prevent you from getting to your goals. You may move ahead a little bit, but you will not move to that new level because you haven't embraced the new you. So spend some time with that. I know this seems odd to some people, but your identity does change. I went from being a coach in a coaching company, a talented coach in a coaching company, to being the CEO, leader of a coaching company. Oh, and a coach as well. So I added some new layers to my identity. It was funny when I would talk to people and tell them what I did, I would relay that I was a coach. I'd failed to mention that I have a coaching company. And so it took me a minute to embrace that new identity. But as soon as I did, boy, did things change and change quickly. So spend some time, future self protocol, future self, identify what your new identity is, embrace it and live it as if it's already happened, and feel that new feeling, feel that new identity. Here's what I'm going to say. I know at some point in all of our careers, myself included, and it can happen anytime, doesn't matter your level of education, your level of work on yourself, your level of commitment to your business, it can happen. And drift is just not a sign that you're broken. Drift does not mean you're broken. It's just a wake-up call that something needs to be refined, reconnected, or realigned. Use it as a checkpoint, not a judgment. Super important. Embrace the fact that you drifted. But just like we talked about feedback, right? We talked about feedback starvation. If you are in a drift mode, dig into why. Dig into what happened. Look at that feedback so you can move out of drift and back into intention. Drift is not a sign that you're broken. I love it. You just need to be refined, reconnected, or realigned. It's that simple. So the 7 steps in summary: subtle sabotage when you go for comfort, right, versus uncomfort of growth. Achievement amnesia when a win kills your future hunger or your future drive. Have those moments of the win ritual so you can celebrate it, extract the wins, the actions and mindset, move on. Number 3, invisible exhaustion. It's not about being unmotivated. You're just overstimulated. Get out of that space as quick as you can. Number 4, when your vision gets vague, your actions become random. Live in that vision as if it's already happened. Number 5, mistaking pivoting for progress. Don't chase shiny objects. Stay the course correct, because every pivot has a cost. Number 6, feedback starvation. Pay attention to the feedback. Hire a coach. Have somebody help you on this journey. I've always had a coach. I shouldn't say always. I've had a coach for now going on 18 years. No, longer than that, 20 years. And it has made the biggest difference because this person or persons are forcing me to look at the feedback, and that's where the growth really lies. And then number 7, lastly, is your identity hasn't caught up with your new identity or your new goals. And that to me is a big one. So create what you want your new identity to be. You're changing, you're growing, your results are different. Embrace it, because it will help you get to that goal so much quicker. As always, team, if you've got any questions, comments, concerns, please reach out to me, Tony@rethinkcoaching.com. I will be happy to set a free 1-hour strategy session with you. You just have to reach out. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of the usual suspects. You can go to our website, rethinkcoaching.com, fill out the little information box that will sign you up for a free 1-hour strategy session. That notification comes directly to me, and I'll send you a link to my calendar, and we'll grab a call to talk about this or anything else that might be keeping you from getting to that level of success you want. Go make it a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Pay attention to the drift.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.